Hello everyone, my name is Tommy and welcome back to my channel. Claustrophobia is defined as an irrational fear of confined spaces. Roughly about 12.5% of the world's population suffers with this fear, with the majority of them being women. Some triggers of claustrophobia include elevators, small or locked rooms, tunnels, crowded spaces, MRI machines, and many, many more. People with claustrophobia aren't necessarily scared of enclosed spaces, but rather what can happen in those enclosed spaces. Some symptoms of claustrophobia include rapid heart rate, trembling, anxiety, hot or cold flashes, shortness of breath, and even the sensation of choking. It can truly be a terrifying experience for those who suffer with this fear. Let's look at that definition again. A irrational fear of confined spaces. Most of the time, these tight spaces don't actually pose a threat, yet the fear that is felt is still very, very real. Some may experience mild anxiety, while others may experience full-blown panic attacks. More often than not, this phobia is caused by traumatic events that may have happened during childhood. Hell, even having parents who suffer from this phobia may cause you to be predisposed to the same fear by associating confined spaces with their anxiety. But once again, the fear that is felt by these individuals is very, very real. Now, claustrophobia can actually be treated by things like cognitive behavioral therapy or even exposure therapy. I myself have never been claustrophobic. In fact, I'm in that weird small percentage that finds tight, confined spaces kind of relaxing. I've actually managed to fall asleep in a couple MRIs, regardless of the noise. But today, I have a story for you. One that is far from irrational. One that can make even the most resilient of people claustrophobic. Today, we're talking about the Nutty Putty Cave incident. The Nutty Putty Cave system is a hydrothermal cave located west of Utah in Utah County. This cave was first explored by Dale Green and a few of his friends in the 1960s. The name Nutty Putty comes from the fact that the cave's interior walls have a soft, brown, putty-like texture. It was originally named Silly Putty, but later got renamed to Nutty Putty. The cave itself contains 1,400 feet of chutes and tunnels that are all accessible through one narrow hole at the entrance. This cave was extremely popular. It was estimated that the Nutty Putty Cave received roughly 5,000 visits per year. With that much popularity and foot traffic, the walls would eventually erode, leaving behind excessively smooth inner walls. This was especially apparent in a 45-degree section of the cave that was named the Big Slide. Before the incident we're going to talk about today, it's worth noting that this cave has already had 4 separate rescue missions. Specifically in 2004, when 2 groups of Boy Scouts got stuck in the same cave within a week of each other. During the rescue mission, it took 14 hours to save a 16-year-old boy. This boy was 5'7" and weighed roughly 140 pounds. Once again, it took 14 hours with an excessively complicated pulley system to save this boy's life. It doesn't help that many visitors often enter this cave system at night and would oftentimes fail to take the proper safety precautions. All these individuals who had gotten stuck had made it out alive, but the realization that there will inevitably be a fatality was looming. The cave was actually closed down in 2006 as a precaution to prevent any more accidents. It was closed for 3 years, 2006 to 2009. This was met with backlash from individuals and cavers, so eventually an agreement was made so the cave could be reopened. If anybody wanted to visit the Nutty Putty Cave system between that time, they were required to book a reservation online. This reservation would allow one group only to explore the cave. The cave entrance was padlocked at night to prevent anybody from entering. The entrance to this cave was located at the top of a hill known as Blowhole Hill. The entrance to this cave had a 6-foot wide opening, followed by an initial straight down drop of 15 feet. After the initial drop of 15 feet, you have 2 options. Option 1, you descend down and go straight towards the Big Slide. Option 2, you take a left and traverse down to a section known as the Maze. There are 3 sections to this cave that are worth noting: the Helmet Eater, the Scout Eater, and the Birth Canal. What do these 3 sections have in common? They're some of the narrowest and tightest sections that have been recorded in that cave. John Edward Jones was 26 years old. He was married with a 1-year-old daughter. He was attending medical school in Virginia, but had returned home to Utah to spend the holidays with his family. As a kid, John's father would take him and his brother Josh on cave explorations. That's where the 2 brothers really learned to love caves for their dark beauty. And it just so happens that the Nutty Putty Cave system was reopened a month prior to John coming back to Utah. And he thought, what a great way to reconnect with friends and family. Little did John know that this trip to the Nutty Putty Cave system would be his last. The day is November 24th, 2009. John and his brother Josh entered the cave system with 9 other friends at 8 p.m. It had been years since John has entered a cave. John was 6 foot tall and 200 pounds. John and his group decided to take option 2 towards the Big Slide. It had been roughly 1 hour since the group had entered the cave system, and John's curiosity started to get the best of him. Hey everybody, post-editing Tommy here. It's a good time to mention that at this point, John and his brother Josh both decided to make their way towards a more difficult section of the cave, known as the Birth Canal. Yes, it has been a long time since him and his brother had actually been cave diving, but they were really excited and really up for a challenge and wanted to try something more difficult. He wanted to explore the Birth Canal. Honestly, who wouldn't with a name like that? Which was a really, really tight squeeze, followed by a little opening where one could go through, turn around, and climb back up. However, little did he know that he took a wrong turn. He found himself in an unmapped section of the cave. If you decide to look at a map of the cave, he was located around the area known as Ed's Push, but the majority of that section was just unknown. But he had no idea that he had taken a wrong turn, so he just pushed on, head first. As the walls of the cave got tighter and tighter and tighter. John is now stuck upside down in an area measuring barely 10 by 18 inches. Now is a good time to remember that John was 6 foot tall and 200 pounds. He was held in place like a hook, unable to move, at a 70-degree angle downward, 400 feet into the cave and 100 feet below the surface. Reality starts to sink in for John. He knows he's stuck and has absolutely no room to turn around. The only way he could really go was in, assuming that he was actually in the birth canal, that he could just go on through that hole and then enter into that little opening and turn around. But he was not in the birth canal. John exhaled all the air in his lungs, hoping to get just like an inch more space. But as soon as he inhaled, he got even more stuck. John's brother Josh was the first to find him. Josh tried as hard as he could to pull his brother up at the ankles, but no matter how hard he tried, John just wouldn't move. That's when, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, John slides even deeper down the hole. And now his hands are stuck directly to his chest. Oh no. He couldn't move at all. Realistically, the only thing that they could do at that point was pray. Now, John and his brother were Mormons, so together they shared prayers in hopes that it would do something, but nothing happened. Josh prayed, "Guide us as we walk through this," while all John could say was, "Save me from my wife and kids." He and his wife actually had a second baby on the way too, just to make things a bit more heartbreaking. Josh made his way to the surface as fast as he could just to get the others' attention, in hopes that they can think of a way to get his brother out. But there's only so much that can be offered in a situation like this. And once help did arrive, it took a solid hour just to get the proper equipment down to where John was. The first rescuer reached John at 12:30 a.m. November 25th. This rescuer's name was Susie Matola. Now at this point, John had been trapped upside down, unable to move, for 3.5 hours. When she went into the hole to try to save him, all she could see was his shoes just sticking up out of the hole. Now, as you do in any situation to try to keep everybody calm, you try to initiate a little bit of conversation. As Susie approached John, she introduced herself to him, and John replied with, "Hi, Susie. Thank you for coming, but I really want to get out." It took over 24 hours and more than 100 rescue personnel to try and save him, but John was not able to move. The rescuers even tried using the same pulley system like they'd done in the past, but that didn't work either. That pulley system actually broke and severely injured one of the rescuers, hit him right in the face. There were no other options, and John had been stuck in this hole, upside down, for hours upon hours. Now, at that angle, the heart would have to work extremely hard in order to keep pumping blood to the brain in order to provide it with the right amount of oxygen. There was no hope. John was pronounced dead of cardiac arrest shortly before midnight on November 25th, 2009. His family thanked the rescuers for everything that they'd done. A grueling 27 hours was spent trying to save John, and now it was just time to let him rest. And there, he still rests till this very day. His body was never able to be recovered. The Nutty Putty Cave was sealed and permanently closed after that incident. It now acts as a natural memorial and grave site for John Edward Jones. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much for sticking around. I'm trying my very best to push out a video at least once a week. If I can do more, I'll do more. But right now, 1 week seems to be a good amount of time just for me to do the proper amount of research, actually script everything, sit down, record it, edit it. So yeah, I know this is only my third video, but if you're watching this right now and you stayed for this long, thank you so much. If you're enjoying these videos, and if you're still here, if you're still listening, you are actively supporting me doing what I love doing. I really do appreciate it. I'm still trying to get this channel off the ground, so any little thing helps. I have a lot more stuff that I really want to talk about, and I'm so excited to start filming. The issue is the technology that I'm using right now can't quite put up with it. Editing alone is just tearing my computer apart, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm still managing to get it done, and it's getting done slowly but surely. But once again, I know I sound like a broken record, but thank you so much for sticking around, and I will see you in the next one.